right, good afternoon. We're live and recording. You're good to go.
Great. Thank you very much, LTV. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Architectural Review Board meeting of January 26, 2023. My name's Kathleen Cunningham, and I thank you all for coming. And I'm just going to begin our meeting by making a few comments in reviewing what the Architectural Review Board's responsibilities are to the community as detailed in the code. There have been some perceptions, I think, within the land planning community that the ARB is working outside its purview. And I am assuring you today that we are not. Everything we have been proposing, I know there have been some changes, is 100% code compliant. So if there have been some struggles with people understanding that, I'm sorry about it, but I've been using the code as my guide, and that is our legal underpinning. So I just wanted everyone to understand that. I'm going to read a little bit today about what our responsibilities are and the following standards and criteria that govern architectural and design review under this article, subject to the more specific standards pertaining to historic landmarks and historic districts, which are set forth in a different section. But we're charged with maintaining character, the character of the community. And there are very important qualities within that particular responsibility. We are charged specifically with maintaining the desirable character of the town and with disapproving. That's an active charge to not approve applications that we think do not fit within the character of the community. And that's a judgment call that we use by using the code criteria. That's all legit and it's all above board. And it's something that this board and I am particularly committed to. Disapproving the construction, reconstruction, alteration, or repositioning of buildings or structures which are designed without consideration of the harmonious relation of the new or altered structure to such structures as already exist, and or to the setting and physical environment into which such structures are to be placed, ensuring compliance with existing applicable scenic, agricultural, and conservation easements or purchase of development rights agreements in, upon, or adjacent to the premises as to which the town, a conservation organization, or a homeowners association is a grantee or party, and ensuring that any instruments filed upon adjoining properties are not unduly impaired by the proposed improvements. We are in charge of the assurance of harmony. The review board is further charged with exercising sound judgment and with rejection of plans which, in its opinion, based on study and advice, are not of harmonious character because of proposed style, scale, materials, mass, line, color, detail, or placement upon the property of proposed buildings or structures, or in relation to the spaces between buildings, or the natural character of the landscape, or because of lack of provision for balance between the proposed location and design of structures and adjacent open areas or adjacent existing structures, whether on or off the lot or site in question. Those are our guiding principles. This is what is directing us as we review our applications, any submissions that come before us. It's in the code, and that's what we're doing. We're following the code. Just to be clear. Regarding ag overlay districts, the purpose of the agricultural overlay district is to reasonably control and, to the extent possible, prevent the unnecessary loss of those currently open lands within the town containing large and contiguous areas of prime agricultural soils. That is an asset to the community. The town has purchased development rights on agricultural overlay lands to preserve those soils. not to make vast areas of developable land. That's not the point of the agricultural overlay district. Okay, that's why we try to keep the mass and scale within reason. Properties designated as being in the agricultural overlay district have been subsidized by the town for the purpose of maintaining areas containing prime agricultural soils. There is a real public benefit and interest in preserving and protecting these properties. The town of East Hampton is offering property owners a reduced tax rate that will serve as an agreement between the owner of the property and the town. These tax reductions are not so people can just build out the whole lot. It's to preserve the soil. That's the point. The purpose of the tax rebate is to encourage the protection, control, and to the extent possible, prevention of the unnecessary loss of these currently open properties, etc. Happy to expound on it another time, but I want to make sure everyone is clear. The work this board is performing is within the bounds of the code. And any changes that we've made to applications or procedures are dictated by the code. We're not making it up. I hope that's clear. Okay. So our first application, our first order of business is to approve the minutes of December 8th and January 12th. May I have a motion, please? I make a motion. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, passed and carried. All right. Now, our first application is 92 South Euclid. Katie is here. Hi, Katie. You want to come to the podium? This one is mine. We've seen this before. This is quite a journey. I started this journey with you guys when I was on planning.
I think that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's really a long time. And I think Andrew was representing it at one point in time.
Yep.
Anyway, so I'll just give you my quick overview. I see that the change is just to remove 3 windows, to add 3 AC units and propane tanks. And I could see on the, oh, poor Eric. Eric, thank you for doing so much work for us.
No problem.
Eric is our,
What?
Eric is our like utility knife. He's our Swiss Army knife. He does everything.
Just let me know which plan.
Yeah, I was thinking there's one that shows, I think it's a site plan or it has the little green arrow, green lines that show where the AC units are going to go. That's not the
The
color.
landscaping plan.
Yeah, that's
This
it.
one Might.
It must be the planning and zoning board. East End Land Plan.
This one has
It's
the
this
AC.
one. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. I said green, but it's red. Anyway, this all seems reasonable to me. I don't have any problem with it, but I couldn't see where the 3 windows were that you were removing. And generally, as a rule, when we ask you guys to submit the elevations, we ask you to show us what's been approved and then bubble out what's proposed. And I could not tell any of
I will
that.
do that in the future. So there, I'll point them out. So originally right here, there was 2 windows here. They're going to be for the store, the signage, because there's really no place
Okay.
to put signs. And then
Okay.
there was a window back here.
Right.
And just so it all matches.
Okay.
Remove that. And then there's actually a mistake. I apologize. They removed, there was a window here and it's where the dumpster was and they removed that. So it's actually 4 windows, not 3.
So you're removing 4 windows, not 3 windows. And so the 2 windows are going to be replaced by signs.
Correct. And they don't have a tenant yet, so we're not in for a sign permit.
Right, I understand. And you know what the sizes are, and we'll just deal with that when that comes down the pike. And then the back window you just removed for continuity. And then the other window removed because it looks out onto the dumpster.
Didn't make any sense.
Gotcha. Okay, then I would like to, if I don't have any other questions, because there aren't any other materials. This has been approved.
The only other thing, I don't know if it's worth noting, is there was a change to the fence that enclosed the propane tank, and it was because of the fire marshal, I think, Eric, right? It needed to be 2 feet and it's lattice at the bottom.
Oh,
I think
yes,
there is a
yes, yes,
plan
that's
on
right.
Elevation.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see it on this one, but I'll
Okay.
switch to the next.
Right. Yeah. Is there a picture of it? I don't,
Just this little bottom section is, there's
Okay.
it's supposed to be lattice rather than solid.
got it.
I don't know. if that needs
That's
to be part
fine.
Of the
Yeah,
resolution or
that
not.
seems fine. Well, if it's a change from the original one, then we should report it because it's a different material, right? So, okay. This proposal to remove the four windows, which we'll adjust on this application, which normally I don't do, but doesn't seem any point to make you come back and resubmit.
Thank you.
Add 3 air conditioning units. Can you show people where that is on the,
They're on the.
they're on the site plan, the one with the red lines. There we go.
Right here.
Okay,
Meet the 10-foot setback.
right. Okay. And then add the propane tanks, which are they're right near there, aren't they?
The propane tanks are right inside the enclosure, so
Right.
you
Yep.
won't be able to see.
Yep. Okay. All right. I just wanted for the board can see. All right. I'd like to propose that we approve this submission as, pardon?
Just a question though, do we need you to submit revised elevations then? Because we need that for the record.
They are correct in your plans, but I can certainly bubble them if it's easier.
Oh,
That's
they
not a
are
problem.
correct? I didn't think you
Yeah,
had
so
them
they're-
reflected. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I couldn't tell which they
I'll
were.
bubble them.
Okay. If you could just bubble them, that would be great because we're really trying to create a better record. The record keeping hasn't been, this way we have a landmark for where we are.
Yep. I'll get you those.
Yeah, if you could just do that, that would be great. Thank you for catching that. Yeah. So pending that, Katie, we're trusting you on that one. That I'd like to propose that we approve this submission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Star Island. Oh, did I read 92 Euclid? I don't think I read it into the record. 92 South Euclid modification, Suffolk County Tax Note number 300-49-1-15. Forgive me for not doing that. And okay, second application is Star Island LLC, SHM, Star Island LLC, Suffolk County Tax Note number 300-6-4-9. And I see Mr. DeSuno is here. There he is. Hi, Chris.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Christopher DeSuno, the architect for the applicant.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so this one is mine and it's a fairly extensive renovation process at the Star Island Yacht Club there out. And Mr. DeSuno was kind enough to meet me there and walk me through all the various proposals. Most of them are changes to, changing shingles to siding and replacement of some doors and so forth. But I think I'll just let you tell us if you'd like. I took many pictures, so he can walk us through it.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's another. Our site plan has some highlighted areas.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Let's step over here.
Sure, whatever works.
So this is Lake Montauk, and the parking lot is on this side of the building. What we're proposing is right now the circular drive comes in here. There is shingles along here. A couple of years ago, when we did the renovation to the building, we changed siding on the alley to a clear cedar horizontal siding. And we did some of that around the front entrance, and we'd like to continue that throughout the site. And we're doing that sort of as
In
we go
stages,
through
yeah.
stages,
Mhm.
because it's quite an extensive set of buildings. So for this phase, we're looking at completing the main entrance area, which would be the western side of building 2, the western side of, so this is sort of the back of the kitchen area. That'll wrap around the main courtyard. The sections where we have where we have rooms are already sided, and that they don't need it, but there's a portion here and a portion on the south end. And yeah, so that's all of the siding that we're proposing.
I can go through the set if you want, because you have pictures and better illustrations.
I'll just do a quick.
I think the overview is helpful. Yeah.
So then The other portion of the application is down on the south end of building 1. There's a rather large deck platform that comes out of the hallway from the rooms with stairs that go down to a lawn, a regular green lawn right here that's right next to the water. And also a concrete ramp that goes down to a laundry facility in the basement. We're proposing to remove that big deck, remove the concrete ramp, and make a much smaller egress access to the basement. It's with simply a landing and a staircase because it can be smaller than a ramp, and reduce the big deck and make that just a 4x4 landing and steps. That'll open up a little bit of this area in the back. We're also proposing, which we're going to send to zoning board, the removal of the lawn and turning that into indigenous plantings. The next portion is when we renovated the yacht club a few years ago, we changed the windows in the bar. We would like to change 2 of the windows to folding doors that match the dining room around the other side. When we got our prior approval, we changed there used to be a galvanized frame with a canvas awning over the outdoor deck bar area. Our last approval from the ARB, we changed that to a wood structure and lattice. We're proposing to have the same look when you're standing around the pool area or looking at it, but inside, instead of having the fixed wood lattice, we're proposing to change that to a mechanized system that can shade the sun so that it could really protect the people that are out at the bar and the dining area, as well as the bartenders who are there as well. The last portion of the application is on the second floor. You'll see in the photographs, all of the hotel rooms have balconies, and there's a roof that slopes down between the balconies. We're proposing doing a stainless steel frame with a Sunbrella fabric frame in each of the rooms so that you don't look from one balcony.
They're gonna remove for the, this goes in, this is the laundry area with a ramp. There's a cement ramp that goes down there. Oh,
I think further down is what you were talking about.
I've actually stayed in the
oh, how nice.
That maybe?
Yeah, and this is,
Yeah,
this
so
shows you
this was our
this
original
little
approval.
trapezoidal thing.
We're doing a wood lattice on the top and a fabric underneath. And we're changing that to the other piece that we have. That was the old one. Okay, so this is what we're proposing as the shape. So the roof comes down as you're standing on the balcony here. And so we've got the striped fabric, which we turned a sample in of Sunbrella fabric.
It's this.
So we cut it off
It's a trapezoidal
just
shape.
over
And this
about
is the
7 feet
fabric.
high
Nice
from the
fabric. I
deck.
think that looks great.
And then it tapers down with the roof because it doesn't need
It's
to go
muted,
on.
you know, it goes.
And it comes down just to the edge of the ramp.
That blocks each person from seeing next door.
Yes. And those will go on the roof in between each room. And then we'll take them down in the winter and the storms.
Storms, right? The storms will take care of
It's a little
that.
windy.
Yeah, and then this is, I don't know if you get to see it, but this is the thing that has the most construction, which is this is that deck that they're gonna remove, and then there's a ramp
The
over
ramp,
here. That accesses the
Okay, that-
laundry
this
area,
is-
so this is gonna come out, and they're just gonna put a smaller stairwell.
And
Yeah,
a smaller deck.
right,
So
so the whole
here's the-
footprint reduces in this area, which is also, this is that grassy area that they need the variance for freshwater wetlands, because they're gonna remove that grass, but that's not before us, except that this is in that area.
Mhm.
So this whole deck area here is going to go away and there'll just be a landing outside of the opening to the to the rooms and a staircase down, so it's
Mhm.
significantly reduced.
These the rooms?
Those are some of them.
These don't get that
I
treatment.
don't know if they get, did those rooms get the awning?
Awning treatment?
These will, yes, on the second
Okay.
floor.
Okay. Um, so anyway, it's extensive. Did you want to, can you show the cedar siding? Eric, can you pull that? I don't know if I have a picture. I took 27 pictures, actually.
Pictures?
Yeah, we don't have to go through every single one of them, but I think the siding is something that would be nice for people to see, so they have a sense of what the shakes are turning into. And then the doors. Did you get a different color sample for that?
Louvers?
For the louvers, yeah. Because what's proposed is sort of a creamy white, and if you,
We have
This-
this one proposed right now,
yeah,
and these are the options.
those are the options.
So they're
Thank you.
fabric louvers.
They're metal
They're-
louvers,
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but they're all within the frame. And they just
The
pivot. in there.
existing frame
Yes.
is being adapted with this.
right.
Okay.
So this is it here. But it just looks, it's big, and there's going to be a lot of sun back there. All these other colors are sort of neutrals and grays and, blend into including this fabric, I think. And I was sort of hoping there would be something in this color for the louvers, because I think the cream is going to reflect a lot of sunlight and be startling on the eye there.
And at the moment, it has a wood trellis and then you put fabric on there.
There's
At the
nothing.
moment, we
there's
just have the
nothing.
frame. We never finished
Never
building
fin-
it,
okay.
so we didn't
It-
complete, it's still open.
They had an approval for what
you
what
had
you're
the
describing,
approval
but they
for-
did not
We did.
construct it.
Correct.
And the approval included what color awning fabric?
Do
Do you recall?
I don't remember.
Just wondering because it would play to
Here,
the question here, I guess.
So
Yeah, it was in
they were looking to try to
2019.
keep it as
Yeah, I
neutral as
remember,
possible because they don't know what the dining chairs and tables and
anyway, this is
coverings
the
and so
color
forth.
sample.
Could we go through the photos? It's
This
been a
one?
little, we've been talking about some things about some decks and removing them, and I haven't, it would be nice to see some photos to visualize.
Okay,
this.
so this is past the front. This, we're changing this shake to match the siding that we did in the renovation.
Keep going through if you want.
This is siding, but it's grayed out quite dark. We're going to run that right through. And this door is going to become a blind door like the siding. Because it's, all that's in there is an electrical transformer.
So the door goes away or it's just
They're
a-
changing the door.
fake
They're
door.
making it instead of
It will
what he
not be a
means.
visible door.
Yeah, they're
It'll
gonna,
be siding.
I see.
It's-
Such a charming little door.
I said the same thing, but,
People tend to want to use it. And right now it's got big shut-offs and electrical equipment in there. And the door itself is about to fall.
yeah, and I think the proposal is, it makes it invisible. If it's part of the siding, it's not invisible, but it won't be, there's no door frame and there'll be a handle, but I don't think there's any window in it, right?
That's correct.
Suppose that would be this elevation, right?
That is this elevation right here.
So that's the door.
That's correct.
So in terms of the visual, it just eliminates the door,
Almost like a wall.
basically. Yes, exactly.
So what happens to the fascias? They just get replaced in kind?
The fascia, the roof will blend right, the siding will blend right through to it's all contiguous plane.
So the siding will be, so the fascias get removed, or I'm just wondering what that detail is.
We were
Like-
going to, if we go back to the photo, well, you can see the fascia, this fascia will stay and it'll be chopped off, but this siding underneath the eave here will continue through and the siding will go back up.
So will you put the siding and the fascia over it or like, I'm just trying to, like, will the siding, will there be a shadow line of the fascia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's only the depth of the fascia though.
Yeah, you're not making,
It's
you're
not a
not,
crowd, there's no eave. It'll, or soffit, it'll just be the rake board going in this location.
Okay, we could go to the next one.
Sure.
I tried to photograph it in
One
consecutive.
thing we didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Remove the dormers.
Oh.
That will just be a new, just a plain roof plan.
Yeah, and I think that's also shown on that, that middle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
these dormers go away.
and the roofing material, are you redoing it? Sorry,
We're replacing
in kind, same color?
same color.
Okay.
It's,
Asphalt?
yes, it is asphalt. We had a lot of discussions about it. They unfortunately just replaced a good portion of roofing 5 years ago or so. So doing the whole place got expensive.
Okay.
We wanted to change the color. So siding here, replacing shake with siding to match.
Just over on the right there. Yeah. Okay, you could go ahead, Eric. Thank you.
Same thing. siding
Same in there where you see the shakes, it's going to be siding.
We'll
This
have
is
the
the-
screens here and siding on the end.
Right. And that's just the same picture.
Siding. Siding.
More siding and siding. Yes. Fascinating, isn't it? Okay, siding again.
So does
Siding.
that take care of the?
That shouldn't be
entire-
there. Yeah. That I just, well, no, I took the picture because I don't think it should be there. But anyway, it's there. The little shed. Yeah. Yeah. And this is the grass that's coming out. That's not before us, but it shows you the portion of that wall, right to the water. So you could get the sense of where that building is on the property.
Mm.
Okay, you could go. Thank you.
There's our deck that's going away.
Yeah,
and
that's-
this is the ramp that's
right.
going away. So it'll just be a staircase down to a landing.
And the siding there is also changing?
Yes.
Just to help you out, because I saw that corresponding picture.
Oh, look at you. Aren't you a marvel?
I'm trying.
That is
I'm trying.
amazing. I could never do that.
So this is our little landing now. And staircase.
Right. I think that's a big improvement, frankly. And it cuts the footprint down on the more sensitive side too. So,
And the beach chairs will be where they're supposed to be when season.
won't that be great? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And
there's
that-
the ramp. that
Right.
goes
That's
away.
the ramp. You can see it in more detail and the deck again. All right. Now this takes us way around the
Now we're
front.
facing, this is
Yeah.
the lake here and we just have screens between the rooms.
Right, but it goes across that whole set, all of that roof line will have those little trapezoidal shapes coming out, so it will affect the visual there. And, just for your consideration.
It'll be colorful.
It won't be, I have no problem with it, but it's going to change the way it looks pretty significantly, so it'll look like sails. Nice sailboats. Yeah.
Mm.
Is that it on the pictures? Boy, I thought I had
No,
like
no, I
thousands
think
of
there's a few more.
pictures. Okay. Yeah, that's just another view of where you'll be able to see the second floor changes.
So the windows.
Right.
The post will stay in the middle. It'll be a trifold door.
Right. Now, do we have
That one
this?
just stays. That's the other side of the bar. The doors we're talking about are.
And that was the
Are
change.
those are those like the trifold doors that is on the right
These are
there?
right
Yes,
here.
so it will be similar to that.
Just like that. Yeah.
Be the same exact thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not similar to, but exactly like that. I don't know what I did with that sheet. He just submitted a second sheet.
That's generally
Is
this
it?
area here, right? Although that's a little to the.
Yeah, so
Oh, here it
the
is.
bars over here, these are all the trifold doors that wrap around the dining room. Those are quads, but
Yes.
the other opening's a little smaller.
Right, so this piece,
Good.
shows the detail of the doors. And he's bubbled it out, so it's existing window to remain. Because they originally said they're gonna put doors in, then they changed their minds back to keeping it a window.
Doesn't it appear here that these go like end higher? Can we go back to the picture where the windows will be replaced by the trifold doors? Just curious to see. See how much higher they are?
That's it.
So these are, okay, I see. These are the trifold doors.
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah, and so, yeah. Okay. Okay, does anybody else have any other, did you have something? Oh, no, let's come back to the, let's look at the place where the,
Bar?
yeah, the bar where the, big, yeah, see, this is the area and, you know, we were there on Tuesday, which was a sunny day, but where those string lights are is where this area will go. This
I think this is the corresponding rendering.
louvered, yeah, that was what was
Right.
approved.
Yeah, that was
and
the
you
old
can
one from-
See,
Okay.
you can see it,
So if you go back to that drawing, it will, like, standing where we are, looking at the perspective there, it'll look at just like that. It's just that the louvers will be inside the frame.
On the lower left, you mean? It'll look,
So this exterior frame and columns
Yeah.
will be just like that, but the louvers will be inside this band.
right, and it won't be, it'll be a movable surface. It won't be a horizontal plane at every moment.
So they can
Which I
get real,
suppose will
real
help.
shade.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. And also it'll allow some light in and airflow too, because
Am I in
That's
the
an-
wrong area or is this?
Nope,
another
that's it.
rendering?
That's our drawing for the current
But-
proposal.
what I was saying, this was the-
What is the, so
Right.
is there an awning?
No,
Like,
I guess,
There's no
I don't
fabric.
know, I didn't.
no
look it up.
fabric.
And it looks yellow there. I was just pointing out that lower left picture because if that was what was originally approved, I guess it looked like a cream.
Was it a yellow? It looks pretty, yeah,
It
you know
looks
the one?
yellowy, But I'm,
That was just a
or is that just a
kind
reference
of
shot from
reference
like
shot.
Capri or something like
I-
that?
If I remember correctly, I think we had done a navy at the time.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
But that was something else.
Well, that was an example, I guess, of how it would look, except for the color. So now the color on this one that you're proposing is this or
That's,
this?
it's the one above the,
Dark, the
This here.
darker.
Yeah, okay.
you know, I printed it. That's on the jet, this is on the bubble jet. They're a little different.
Yeah, they're really hard. The
This
printing,
looks more pink.
Yeah.
yeah, mauvey. This is
Yellowy.
creamier. I mean, as a general matter, I think the color is okay. I just think there's so much sun there. I was hoping if there was a gray, something that was a little, that would deaden the light a little bit, because I think it's going to reflect the light, like, you know, it's going to be a startling look.
Who sees
We were joking before,
From the
but
water.
one of the things we're saying is that color will hide the seagull droppings.
Oh, well, that's your
That's
goal.
a good point.
Well, I think it's probably an important issue.
Oh, these are so different.
Mm.
This, that
Yeah, that's
Wow.
not quite right.
is the green and the brown. Are they
Yeah.
the same thing?
Yeah.
Holy moly. Well, how on earth could you tell from
So
this?
we should go by
These are the
one
same, this
one of
color.
glossy.
I think so. It
Wow.
appears closer to what we had. And
It never showed us the other one.
Put that away.
Well, I'm. You know, as a if anybody has any questions for Chris, I'm sure he's happy to answer them. Is there anything more that you want us to know about this, Chris? Well, you're.
pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I think you have to. So I'm prepared to move on with this. I I think these are all improvements, and I think all the materials are coherent and compatible with what exists. My only concern, as I said, is the color for that louvered roof. I think that this material for this fabric sample, for if everybody's had a chance to see it, it feels nice. It looks good. I think it'll blend in nicely. I think it's going to be a little more, pop out a little bit just by virtue of the structure, but I think the color is commendable. I'm comfortable with that. I don't know if you'd like to check that out. I guess it's more gray. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know, but I've been to places like this where you're, when you're walking up from the water, it's like, it's the
Well,
reflective light
hopefully
is.
the idea will be that
Yeah.
the light will be perpendicular to this and we have shade on the
Mhm.
underside.
And then-
So
Right.
there's
And
not,
that's why I was asking, you're not going to see this from rooms or
no,
anything
there's,
above.
there's
and this-
offices in the setback, but there's air conditioners on the roof next to this that are hidden pretty much. And then there's a parapet wall between the next balcony over to hide the air conditioner. So you can't really see the top of this.
It's really
anywhere.
well designed. I'm just imagining walking up from the beach. That's all, on a sunny, I mean, it's sunny there all the time.
Yeah.
Or because there's no real shade except for
Right.
when the sun moves behind the buildings, so, and in that area, it's sort of an so sort of a southeast exposure. So it'll be sunny most of the day. But I mean, I think it's a nice color to go with it. The reflective qualities were my only concern, but if nobody else. has
Is
that
it
worry-
matte or reflective? Glossy.
The one that we saw, there's a sample of the installed at LaGuardia Landscape Design. That's where we went to look at it. And that one is a black matte. I don't
That would
think
make
it's
it-
shiny.
I think that would make a difference. If it were, glossy, then it might be more reflective, but
And it's certainly not going to be able to remain glossy in that
No,
environment.
within a
No,
year,
it
it'll
won't be
be.
glossy for long.
That's
No,
true.
there's no question about that. I
back before
take
you know it,
Yeah.
asking for a modification.
Exactly.
But that's my only, it's really just a hesitation. It's not a hard, I'm happy to approve it. I don't have any
I don't
other
have
problem
any
with it. It just seems like you might want to consider that. But does anybody have any other questions or concerns about this application as proposed?
No.
Okay.
No.
It
Excuse
doesn't
me?
have a.
Yeah,
doesn't
on
have
the 11 by 17, it has a number.
Oh, it does?
9001, I think.
The 11 by 17.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
I don't have my glasses. Silly girl. This is such tiny print. Can you see the color number?
I believe it's 9001.
He says it's 9001. Happy here.
Can I help you out?
You had submitted a spec sheet for it, I think.
Oh, that's what it is. It's on the spec sheet. It's not on the 11 by 17. I'm looking on the wrong thing. Okay, well, we can find that out. We don't need to hold this up for that. We'll figure it out. And if we need you from you, we can just get it from
I can
you.
show you.
Yeah, I think it's on here somewhere.
It's in here. Yeah, here it is. Orchestra solar protection, is that it?
That doesn't have any numbers on it. No.
There's 2 pages.
Oh, this one.
For a solar.
Oh, okay. Oh, that one. Ah,
The bad
11, now
printout.
the
Yeah,
11
I
by
see.
17 reveals
It's an
itself.
RAL color,
Okay,
9001.
all right. Can you just
Yeah, it's
circle the one? It is excellent. Thank you. Perfect. I like that. Okay, so it is not, it's 9001.
RAL.
RAL 9001.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well,
I would
Yes?
say that I'm fine with this application. The stripes, I'm, just for the record, I'm perhaps not my first choice. but
okay.
I'm willing to
yield on that?
You.
Okay,
That's why I didn't say anything.
okay. Does anybody else have any reservations with the stripes? Okay,
I think they're beachy. I mean, I've stayed there. It's very much like an old fashioned ski chalet, the whole place. And so this will jazz it up a little bit. It's very dark and sort of foreboding in places.
okay.
It's fresh.
Any
and
other
cheap.
comments? I mean, I take your point, Frank. I mean, I think it'd be better if it was a solid, but I think as a practical matter, the only people who are going to really see it are the ones in the rooms. I don't think it's going to be that visible from the.
You're not going to be looking at them straight on from the
Well,
water.
when
or
you
anything.
drive up, it's only, it's a virtually a two-dimensional, element. So you'll only see it if you're looking at it from the sides. And to my mind, it looks maritime-y, it's like a sail, like on a boat. But, you don't have to agree to that. Reasonable people can disagree. Okay. All right. So I'd like to propose that we accept this submission as proposed. Can we have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you're good to
Thank you
go.
very
Good
much.
luck. All right, business signs, number 3, Suffolk County, Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-58-2-5 has been withdrawn by the applicant. We'll go to fences, walls, gates, and berms. Item number 4, Scott Freeman and Johanna Markson. Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-73-4-12 is East Hampton fence or a representative for the Freeman Markson people here. If they're not here, I'm not going to discuss it. All right, we'll put it on for another time.
Postpone.
Yes, I think we would postpone this, yes, because there was no representation for the applicant. David, that's the appropriate thing to do, right? I mean, we can't.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, thank you. All right. We're blasting through this, aren't we? Okay, Jeffrey and Hillary Auerbach, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-55-1-28.21. Is Mr. Auerbach or a representative here? Welcome. The way we do this is that our representative will make his presentation and then we'll ask you for any comment you'd like to give. Okay, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, sure thing. Thanks for coming. Okay, Chip.
Sure. Eric, would you just pull up some of the photographs?
Working on it now.
Okay, so this is an application seeking approval for a 10-foot-high chain link fence completely surrounding a tennis court, though the survey calls it a sports court, absolutely in the front yard of a 2-acre property. The property is located in an older development of traditional and contemporary homes adjacent to Cedar Point Park. The lot is surrounded on 2 sides by a reserve and a scenic easement on the part of the 3rd side and Northwoods Lane on the 4th side. The end game for the applicant is to obtain a C of O for this new property, which is for sale. This neighborhood is heavily wooded with hills and small depressions. I understand the tennis sports court was supposed to be sunken. Instead, a depression bordering the scenic easement was massively filled in to create a flat plane on which the court and the fencing were built. In terms of scale and harmony with surrounding properties, I don't find any. This thing is massive. The tennis sports court with its 10-foot-high fencing overwhelms everything around it. The fencing is 110 feet on the 2 longer sides and 50 feet wide on the 2 shorter sides. My feeling is this fencing should be cut down to 6 feet on the shorter sides and completely removed on the larger sides. I'd like to let Mr. Auerbach talk about it.
Okay, thank you, Chip, for that thorough review. Okay, Mr. Auerbach, if you have any comments you'd like to make?
Sure. The house originally, when it was designed, was supposed to have, like it was stated, a sunken tennis court that would just have a 6-foot fence. Since there was a tremendous amount of fill that had to come in, the tennis court company, as well as the surveyor and the town, felt that it was easier if I just kept it at a level court rather than sinking down the court. That being said, we kind of monitored all of the houses within the area or that are all within the Northwoods area to find out how high the fences were, because I knew that this was originally going to be a 6-foot fence. And pretty much everybody in the surrounding area has a 10-foot fence. So the tennis court company went forward with putting in the surrounding area heights. Then we realized after I had a conversation just recently with Mr. Shantz, called and said that the ARB only does it to 8 feet. So I called the tennis court company and had them come back to possibly cut it down from 10 feet to 8 feet.
Okay, so what you're proposed,
I just want to say one thing. You filled this area in massively to get this tennis court there. I mean, there is a swale on one side. On the right side, if you're standing at the front door of the house, it must be an 8 or 10 foot amount of dirt you've brought in to level this thing, because there's a valley there. So I don't know. You said you just built it in the front yard. You didn't. You massively filled it in to get this level plane to build this tennis court.
To build the house, we had to drop the property and cut across because there's a 41-foot differential between
Right, but
the
this
north
thing,
side to the south side of the house.
right, but this is, yeah, so this thing was massively filled in to create this plane to build this tennis court. You just didn't pop it on a piece of flat land.
No, we had to build up one side.
Yes, yeah, on the reserve side.
We had to actually, we had to
Yes.
take from one side and bring it to the other side and build it up. So
Right.
there's a retaining wall that goes around the entire property.
Right, right. Now, the tennis court that is on the adjacent property, which I think is the one you're referring to, that I didn't go to measure it, but it may have a 10-foot high fence. That is not in the front yard of the house. It's on the side and backyard of the house. So my issue with is you plop this thing right in the front yard. It looks like a giant enclosure where the other one is sort of sunken and it's on the side yard. So there's a big difference between you and your neighbors. And you really can't go by what your neighbors did. We're not talking about them. We're talking about you.
Sure.
well, there are two matters, and Chip's hit on one of them really profoundly. Is this is a residential lot, and generally speaking, the front area of the lot is the entryway to the home. And when you have a large recreative area, it makes it look like a commercial lot, like you have, like it's a tennis club, instead of a house. So I think that's one important thing. The other thing is that the code, when you build here, if you're a general contractor, I take it you are, or you're,
No, I'm not.
well, you're a speculator because you built this and you're going to sell it. You need to look at the code.
Should
code-
that's not
It's not relevant, but I'm just
saying.
saying, if he wants to do this again, he should be referring to the code.
Every applicant should refer to the code.
Correct. Every applicant should refer to the code. So if, you want to build again, look at the code, not what's in the neighborhood. The neighborhood has certain elements of it, as Chip is pointing out, that we are going to compare to, but the height of the fence is something that's dictated in the code, and that's how we have to make our determinations. So I think that's that's really the key here. As I'm looking at this, is this even a survey, or is it's a survey? I'm just wondering if this is, are these items this must have been a subdivision at one point,
Yes.
Eric, are there covenants and restrictions on this that might apply to some of these? Are some of these structures outside the building envelope, or is it all?
Not that I'm aware of,
Okay,
as I outlined. in the
yeah,
evaluation.
no, I see it, yeah. What is this? bumpy line?
That's the change in grade. There's a massive change in grade.
Okay, all
This
right.
is a swale. like
And,
this.
but
And
this
this
goes
is
around the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very uneven
it's-
part. It's not, nothing's flat about it. Nothing was flat about this part. It's flat now.
So this scallopy line means that it's all elevated?
Yes, these are,
Oh.
Eric, can you bring up my photos? Because you can see some of the retaining walls in the back.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that I have those. I'm looking at what we have here and I don't see a set of photos. Did you email them or?
Yeah. You didn't get the photos?
Well, I can, show you some, I can show you the aerial photograph, if that helps.
Yeah, and the arrow might help. I just want to, we've been checking on some of these subdivisions to make sure that there isn't some covenant restriction on these lands that might apply for certain of these accessory structures. So I just wanted to ask that question while it's in my head. Okay, well, so, I understand the desire to have a fence around a tennis court. I think that makes sense. What you could put is a 4-foot fence, and you would be able to do that without our approval. Anything higher than that would require our approval. So you're asking us to approve an 8-foot fence where a 10-foot fence exists? Is that the ask now?
That is.
All right. And
Let's just look
Chip,
at here, the photos. So this is the,
oh
this
my
is what goes down to the
goodness.
swell.
I
This is the
see.
massive,
Okay.
this is the house. This is the driveway. This is the
yes.
tennis court. This whole lot.
Chair,
You know
Eric
what?
had a good point. It's because of the location of the tennis court, it's actually 6 feet as of right instead of 4.
Oh, it's 4
Yeah,
feet.
it's not in the front
Okay.
yard, so
Okay, great.
it's,
Thank you for, but in the front yard?
Wait, say that
It
again.
it is in the front yard,
It
It's
is.
in the front, but it's not.
but it's, but it's,
It's more than 50 feet
It's more-
setback.
Oh, okay. It meets the 50-foot setback. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then, Chip is recommending no fence on, could you just
At our
repeat your
discretion.
recommendation to us?
Well, I noticed the village has a tennis court right off the Reuterson parking lot. They took down all this massive fencing they had it. There's fencing on the two ends and there's none on the sides. I mean, why do you have all this fencing? What are you trying to do in there?
in East Hampton, he's referring to the
The village.
village,
of East Hampton.
Herrick Park
There's
tennis
a-
courts.
There's a big tennis court in Reuterson Park. And I noticed the village took out all the fencing on the sides of the court. When you're playing tennis, you're going back and forth. So there's no sides and they just have fencing on the ends, the short ends. I mean, but why did you fence this thing in like this? What were you trying to do in there?
I was told actually by the, when I submitted my plans for the building permit originally, that I needed a fence around my sport court. So.
Well, was it?
Why
but
did you choose a 10-foot
But
fence?
my guess is it was because your plan was to recess it, right? So if it was recessed, then a fence was a safety issue, so no one fell in it.
They wanted a 6-foot, but now the reason that we have the fence around there is because it borders up to where the side of the house is, and there's a drop off there of approximately 12 feet.
This is the drop off. It's on the side here.
But when you went to the building department and you said that they told you need a fence, you were permitted to build it sunken, correct?
I was permitted to build a tennis court with a 6-foot fence.
But you built a 10-foot fence.
The tennis court company put the 10-foot fence in, correct? I was unaware that they changed anything on the fence until we went and had my original walkthrough, and the inspector pointed out that I have a 10-foot fence. So she said, you need to file an application with ARB, which is what I
Right.
did immediately.
Okay.
So this house is highly designed. You weren't aware of the design elements in the fence? I mean, it's one of the most designed houses I've seen in a long time.
No, I hired an architect to design the whole house. And I
Yeah.
designed this house for my own family to live in. And
Then why is it for sale?
because there was a falling out,
Okay.
Okay, we don't have to know
Okay,
that. That's
but
not,
I
yeah.
mean,
there was a
but
falling out and.
this is so carefully done, this house. I'm just surprised that all of a sudden, a 10-foot fence arrived in the front yard.
No, actually, this house, the original builder that we hired, we're currently in litigation with because he disappeared. So we actually had to hold the house up, and then we had to find a new builder, and I worked with the town actually to make sure that I had everything done correctly, because I'm not a speculator. I bought this property to build a home for my family, and then I ran into this this has been a 2.5-year project.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
well, I understand.
With regard to the
Right.
fence, it became, originally it was going to be a sunken, but then it required massive retaining walls around the entire property. And then they were filling it in, and then they were gonna have to backfill it back out. And then they said it didn't make any sense to fill the property in, then build the retaining wall, then backfill all the dirt back out.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. And we don't need to know all that. I think
Okay.
at this point, thank you. And I'm sorry for the trouble that you're having. And, it doesn't matter if you're a speculator or a homeowner or a commercial builder. Everybody has to play by the same rules, and we have to apply those rules evenly, which is what we're doing.
Eric, I
So,
sent you these photos. Can you pull them up?
I'm just
You
wondering
personally.
in terms of the, I think the recommendation that you would get, Chip is recommending that you remove the fence. Do you mean on the long sides?
yes.
Yeah, and then just have it so that the serve is
Yeah,
captured. Yeah.
Would it
If I
not?
remove the fence on that side,
Balls
then
are gonna
the
go
balls are
into
gonna
the-
go down into the easement.
The easement.
Then
Okay.
then put a 4-foot fence there, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Well, that's what I was going to
Sort of
suggest.
object to this, to being framed as some sort of hardship that you've been put in. You built this, so don't present it to us as if it's a hardship that a ball, a tennis ball would go over I mean, this was supposed to be a sunken tennis court. And
So
then
this
you
is the-
built it way up high on the land. And it's as if this is a problem that's been forced on you and we have to deal with it.
Okay, well, I think that my recommendation to you would be to take the serving ends, the short ends down to 6 feet and put 4 feet around the sides. I think that would, take the mass and, scale of this down significantly. It'll keep the balls from rolling down into the.
6 feet.
Right.
Well, I can suggest that and he can say yes, or he can say I can have 6 feet. I'm not demanding he do 4 feet. I'm suggesting. I think 4
I've
feet
never
is.
done this before, so I don't really know what I'm
Right.
supposed to be
I
doing. so I'm
understand,
not-
but I mean, I have been to tennis courts where there are 4-foot fences. It's, if the idea is to keep the ball in the court, a 4-foot fence will do that job just as well as a 6-foot fence. So,
Well, depends on the ball.
Depends on who's
I
playing.
don't,
okay,
I've never
all right.
been to
So,
someone's house that has a
if the,
fence.
everyone else can recommend to him that he put in a 6-foot fence. I'm just suggesting. Chip said no fence. I'm thinking 4 feet and 6 feet on the ends. Just modifying the suggestion of the committeeman.
It can't be 10 feet. Eric, can you pull up on the
and
left where
that,
that this fence?
that I think 8
The
feet
left of that
is
last
too,
picture?
I think 8 feet
No.
is overkill. I think that's way
the
too much.
The dark area, that's where this court is, to the left of the driveway.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can,
Can you enlarge that?
maybe. If I- Not directly.
Okay, so everything that's dark in there is this fence.
This is from the road, right?
This
From
is
the
standing
street.
at the
But
road.
this is
yeah.
the first thing you see because
Yes,
it's in
yes,
the
yes.
front
No,
yard, right,
totally. It
right,
looks institutional.
right. Well,
I
that was
agree.
my
Well, no,
sense.
it's set back 60 some odd feet from,
So you can.
But
see
it's
it.
it's very obvious when you,
Right.
when you drive down the street, it's so obvious. I was like, I gotta be in the wrong place here.
It's almost, but it's an untraditional, I mean, generally we don't have, that's these appurtenances and accessories are behind the house or in the side yard or something, not
Yeah,
in the
that's a
front
good
yard.
one. That's good.
Yeah.
That's very.
Object to it.
yeah, I would have thought that when I submitted my building plan, somebody would have.
Yeah. Okay.
out to me.
So, does somebody want to recommend a height other than, I don't know if my suggestion,
You wanna
Chip's
go 6?
suggestion
So,
of no fencing on either side and 6 feet and 6 feet on the ends.
Well, I'd be happy with 6 feet all around.
Given that
He
the
can have-
applicants, as of right here, I would just prefer we say we don't approve this.
And then you can have your
Because
6 feet
what's the
because you're.
bar-
No, he can
Right.
put 6 feet up whether we approve it or not.
Right.
Is that the point?
We're not
Yes.
approving this.
Okay, all right. So
So
I
we'd
know
like you to
that this
put,
is very puzzling for you and I'm sorry.
I
if,
would
you know.
recommend that the board not outwardly deny something at this time. I'd rather work with the applicant to have him come back if that's a possibility, just because of the collateral consequences that come with a denial are
Yes.
not really something that we should have to deal with in this situation.
Yeah,
Wait, just say- I was gonna suggest something that, okay.
so is the board in agreement on a 6-foot fence surrounding the whole thing?
yes, I think that
I
the
think
way we
that's-
would posit is to say that we would look favorably upon the applicant proposing a 6-foot fence to enclose the tennis court as of right.
I would ask that you table it, and if you want to come back and make another application, but what you're hearing is that you can have 6 feet as of right, and that doesn't seem like they're inclined to approve anything beyond that at this point.
So you can cut it down.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have any questions? Do you understand what we're?
Yeah, I'm still confused as to why the height of the fence, if I bring it down to 8 feet,
6
you
feet.
know, or 6 feet is approved, 6 feet's the given. If I bring it down 2 feet, it's not such an eyesore. And, my landscape is involved there. And I did that for safety precautions on falling off the side. And even to, I understand that every department here is completely different, but I was taking some, advice from other departments as to what needs to be done here with ARB. And I thought that between a 6 and an 8 foot fence wouldn't become that much of a difference.
Mhm.
And when people are playing, predominantly any court around is a 10-foot fence, which is kind of like a standard fence.
Right, but
So-
no, but there aren't standard fences. There is no standard 10-foot fence. So if you see other 10-foot fences around your neighborhood, they're not legal fences. When they're ready to sell and they come for a C of O, they're going to have to mend that fence too. This is what I was saying earlier about the code. The code is what tells us what we can and can't do and what we enforce or don't enforce. And I think the massing, even though I understand that it's translucent and it's black and you've done what you can to mitigate the impacts of this, the difference between 10 feet and 6 feet is 4 feet. It's almost half again, it's much shorter. So that's what we would prefer to see, but you can do that as of right. I think, and the only, we weren't even really going to take your application tonight because we can't approve a 10-foot fence. We were going to ask you to resubmit, but Eric had spent some time with you on the phone. We went back and forth and we said, all right, we'll have him come in and we'll give him some advice.
Okay.
So you've heard what the board has to say. So I would ask you to resubmit with a different proposal. And you've gotten the general sense of what,
So,
people
so
are
if I,
inclined
if
to-
I wanted to resubmit, then what am I resubmitting for? Like,
So I
I'm,
I think that if you lower it to 6 feet, you don't have to come back to us. You just have to go
Okay.
to the building
Yeah.
department.
right.
this picture doesn't have any of the landscaping at all in it. So this whole area from here of the corner, all the way down through here is all landscape. So when you come up the driveway, they didn't even have enough to finish the landscaping on the right side of the driveway. So this is all landscaped. And
Wait, I took this picture 2 days ago.
This is just,
They don't have the trees in stock right now. So this is all part of,
Oh, it will be landscape.
yeah.
It's not landscape
Yeah,
now.
that's why,
Well,
that's why
then-
this is still dirt, because they don't have,
Right.
the sod farm doesn't even have sod. So they.
Right. No, we understand.
Winter.
Yes, we understand. So,
It's kind of boxed in behind.
right, I understand. But it's still, we can't approve a 10-foot fence. And so,
That I knew. Eric was
okay.
very generous
Yes,
to
okay.
express that.
all right. So, do you have any other questions? Because we need to move on.
Okay, so yeah, so my other question was, I know that there was something that was spoken about coming back to reapply. So my question is, to reapply, would that just be to,
I think if you decide you want to put a 6-foot fence in, if that's a decision you can come to comfortably,
Mhm.
you can just do that.
okay,
But if you want a bigger than 6-foot fence, you've got to reapply to us.
okay.
Okay?
And then the building department, when they do the C of O, will approve your 6-foot fence.
Right. Because you don't need
Actually,
an,
the building permit already references a 6-foot fence.
6-foot
Right.
fence. Okay.
so that's all, you just have to make that decision and then decide, to determine what you want to do and then either come back or not.
Least,
Okay.
path of least resistance.
I'm with you. All right, great. Thank you very much. Okay, next up is Great Oak Way. Tax at number 300-73-3-1.7. Mr. Kang, are you here? Hello, welcome back. Okay, Diane, this is yours.
Yes. This is an application for a gate and pillars and some fencing at 15 Great Oak Way, which is a part of a subdivision called Hidden Ponds, which is really a hotbed of construction and architectural styles, I must say. Now, this is the third time I have gone to see this, this property, and now that they have changed the gate, changed the pillars, and the gate is a very innocuous 47 inches, which obviously doesn't even need our approval. And the pillars are slightly higher. They range depending on from the ground between 49 and 51 inches. So they're certainly not imposing. I have several pictures. Eric,
Want me to just go through them or?
yeah, why don't we just go through them? So if you can see, the back fence is very, very low. It's varies between a little less and a little more than 5 feet. And thus the side fences are 5 feet. And keep going, Eric. Well, that's gone now. So
We lowered it to the 4 feet.
Yeah, but the wiring for the lighting is
Light
gone
fixtures.
now.
The light fixture's not there.
Okay.
Right,
No-
there's
Nothing
no,
is there right
there's
now.
no call box now. There's no light fixtures. It's very subtle and quiet and with many things around it that are not subtle
Oh,
and quiet.
glad to hear that.
So this is not, this
This is
is
the
what
old one.
was, and then you have a picture of what now is, which is
That's what it
this.
is.
That's the
Yes.
present. This is present.
This is-
Yeah, that's such an
this is it.
improvement.
It's
Thank
much
you.
better.
Much,
No,
much
it's
better.
Much better.
It is, but because of pets and dogs and, well, not only that, it just, we wanted to go up to that 6 foot fence gate if possible.
Okay.
Oh, you mean
We're looking to put that back in. That's,
Oh.
we just did that because
CO.
we needed to get the CO.
Oh, for heaven's
oh,
sakes.
so you're so honest.
you're doing-
too honest for your
Oh.
own good, I think.
Well, we don't want to discourage honesty. Okay, well, thank you for letting us know that, but this is the preferred gate.
As it is right
Yeah.
now, everything they've done, it
Uh-huh.
it fits very nicely
Right.
into the
Right.
landscape and the neighborhood.
I agree. Thank you, Diane. Did you have anything else?
When I have a question, and I know.
I was just wondering if Diane had anything else.
Well, no, I think that's
Okay.
Dan, where is
Got
this,
everything.
where's
Okay.
this property, where's this development located? I'm trying to figure.
way,
It's
way up in the Northwest Woods.
West Woods, yeah.
Way up in the Northwest Woods.
Over, yeah, Great Oak Way, it's called.
Great
By
Oak
Ce-
Way.
By Cedar Point Park?
It's over by Alwan.
Great
Brook
Oaks.
Road.
We're surrendered.
Alwan
Before you
Brook.
get to
It's,
Cedar
it's deeply up there in the Northwest Woods.
Sounds
But
like
it's, but
Antarctica.
this Hidden Ponds is go on Isaac Street, another street, and then you're into this subdivision, which everybody must want to live in because there is construction galore going on with the most
Right.
surprising architecture, really surprising. So,
Surprising.
yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Okay,
This
Well-
is the location in town. You can see on the aerial. So,
Right.
Gentleman said this is Alewife.
so I just would like to
Oh.
be clear on what it is. Mr. Kang, are you before us to resubmit the original gate?
Well, that's what, yes, because I know for a fact that we could have that 4 foot fence. I don't have to be here, but we're looking for that 6 foot fence to put that back. And it was,
But didn't you put a 5-foot gate in? When you say fence, do
sorry.
you mean gate?
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's gate.
Right. Yeah, okay, so the gate that you installed to get your CO, what are the dimensions of it?
The,
That's
The
4
existing
feet,
gate,
right,
is
which
less
you
than-
talked
so
about, right,
1 inch less than
right, okay,
4 feet.
okay, and we love that gate.
I know, but
Okay.
we kind
All
of
right.
love that gate that's there. It's,
Yeah, no, I
it's already-
understand.
it's already
Okay,
pre-made.
all right, so I didn't understand that you were trying to, that you want to put this one back in
Totally
there.
transparent now. I mean, it's a very
Yeah,
different
no, it
gate.
fits, yeah, it fits all our criteria for gates. All right, so there are a couple of issues here. I mean, this changes it for me. I didn't realize. Did you know that
No,
this is what it
I
was
didn't
supposed to be? I didn't
Did I
understand
know
that,
what?
that they were reapplying for this gate.
No, I
just thought
what
this
I
was all
saw,
historic to
I
the.
thought what I
yeah,
saw was what they were
what they
asking
wanted
for.
approval for. Yeah, same.
And
I thought the same thing. Okay, so there's a couple of issues, I think, with this. And I think we ran into some of this when we first looked at this application, which is that the subdivision, the covenants and restrictions for this lot have more different criteria than I think perhaps you used in your construction. And I think that the gate is outside what did we decide on
Well,
this?
yeah, so the covenants and restrictions from the original subdivision, which was called Northwest Estates, limits all buildings and structures to be within the building envelope, and I'll show you the survey in a second. However, it does exempt fences.
Right.
So I think that essentially that's a non-issue. The one issue, though, that had been discussed previously is that there is a section of the code that says that you can't have a gate within 20 feet of the edge of pavement.
Right, that's the problem. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
And that's
Yeah,
intended to allow for emergency vehicle access.
to accommodate emergency service. Yeah.
I'll just show you the survey here.
There's also the proposed gate on the survey that's 6'2", which is above
Yeah.
the height
6 foot's
limitation that's
the max.
allowable.
It looked so,
Yeah, so
no.
they can only approve anything that's up
Yeah.
to 6 feet in
Here,
the,
if I-
facing the public street.
If I share screen, that'll explain what you're talking about. So there's two things here that we found just as far as what the code says. You need to have from the edge of pavement a minimum of 20 feet so that an emergency vehicle can pull in. You can't have the gate obstructed. So if they park on the road, I measured it out. It looks like the gate is roughly 12 feet to 15 feet away from the edge of pavement. So you might have to move it back about 5 feet. But then also the notation there says that the gate column is 6.2 feet.
Right.
Technically, the ARB can't approve anything over 6 feet.
No, we would, I think I proposed to bring the pillars down.
Yeah, just to
Putting
the
that
6
To
feet.
the 6 feet and the gate stay at that 6 feet.
Okay.
But either way, even if the board were inclined to approve it tonight, as it was, the survey would have to be updated to
Yeah.
reflect back the height of the wood column. Because the approval refers to the survey.
I think the survey actually sent in I think he did, but it-
Here's the brand, and the
Oh,
new
it-
survey.
It's a minor
December.
revision. If you
December
do it, I
21st.
think it's 6 feet.
Yeah, I think he did put it at 6 feet, I
It
thought.
says 6'2".
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
And then additionally, just that 20 feet from edge of pavement. So if you do have the surveyor revise the survey to indicate that that's only 6, not 6.2, should probably also have him indicate
Or
the
old
distance from the edge of
information
pavement
Yeah, I
and
didn't-
make sure it meets
yeah,
the 20
it's-
feet.
read
Oh,
the
I
same way as the
I
old
wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
20
Well,
feet
I
for
thought the
the-
I
survey
looked at
read
it
the
this
same
afternoon and
way.
So
realized.
is that on the CNR or is that in the building?
No, that's something that's in the town code. Both of those are town code things. The CNR for the subdivision doesn't seem to be an issue.
Oh, okay.
These are all town code things. You would need a variance if you wanted to,
But what about that stone retaining wall, Eric?
Mhm.
Because the
Which is-
stone, and not that that's before us, but I just want to, I'm in good
Well, if he's
conscience.
seeking his CO, it might come up anyway, so just flag it.
He's already got a CO apparently, or he got a CO for the
You've got
gate, but
CO
yeah.
for the
The,
gate.
the highway department came by and took a look at the retaining wall.
I
They
see
signed
here.
it on it.
Oh, no.
The highway
We don't-
department signed off on the retaining
I
wall?
believe we do not do that.
So the highway department can make an assessment of whether or not it obstructs traffic and they offer their own opinion, but that doesn't allow it to remain. It's like
Okay. But it's outside the
so
Building
it's
envelope.
it's not an approval from the town that doesn't allow it to remain. It's just their assessment that it does not block traffic.
Okay,
It really confuses things.
It does. I would agree with you.
okay. But the building envelope,
We're not authorized to approve anything that's not on the property or in the town right away.
right, okay. The other thing is that this survey shows that the rail fence actually goes off your property line a little bit
In the front yard.
Real
in the
fence.
front yard. You see it
No.
just that little, yep,
Yeah.
a little bit,
That solid line to the right of it.
Yeah.
Property line.
right.
The thinner line is the fence which extends to the left of it, so it's outside of the property line.
Which means it's in the town's right of way, so we can't approve it.
Okay.
Okay, not that it's before us, but, and I mean, if it's 4 feet, we don't have to approve it anyway, but you can't keep it there. You have to move that back into your property. And then I don't know how to advise on the stone retaining wall, but anyway, the gate,
Fence on top of it.
yeah, there's a fence on top of it.
But it's a true, I mean, the retaining wall is absolutely necessary for the configuration of the land, and you should see what's being built next door to him.
Right, right. The only thing is that it's outside the building envelope, and that's a requirement of the CNRs for this subdivision. And if the one next to them is that outrageous, then they're probably outside the CNRs too, would be my guess. A lot of people don't understand that there are covenants and restrictions on some of these older subdivisions in the wooded areas that have, greater restrictions on the normal setbacks. Anyway, so I guess the idea is that the gate has to be moved in. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, Eric, so you mentioned that all structures except fences need to be within the building envelope. Does that mean that the gate needs to be moved to be within the envelope? Is a gate a structure or is that exempt from?
I suppose that's a question that would need some kind of interpretation.
I think that we were thinking about the gate as being part of the fence when it was at the 4-foot height, just because it's, but it still doesn't meet the 20-foot. It still doesn't meet that.
Yeah.
That's the prevailing
Yeah.
rule here. But we did ask that question, and the
Yeah.
council's advice was to say that it's at that height, at the 4-foot height, it remains part of the fence. I think if it's going to be a taller gate, then I think we would look at it differently.
Can I ask the applicant why you want a 6-foot gate?
It just looks a little bit more stately than a 4-foot fence.
It looks
a
so
little more
nice
what?
right now.
Stately.
It really
Stately.
looks beautiful now.
That's, I guess everyone has their preferences.
The proportion of the
Right.
fences and the gate with the proportions of the house, it really looks,
Yeah, especially with the retaining wall too. It doesn't look so overwhelming. I think you've got a winner with what you've got, and but you're still going to have to push it back, so it's 20 feet off the from the edge of pavement because of that's an emergency service access requirement. That's
Right.
not a design feature, but that's just a physical requirement.
So if I did move the gate back to that 20 feet mark, do I need to come back for that? I do. Okay.
Yeah.
6
As
feet.
soon as it's over 4 feet.
As soon as it's
Yeah.
over 4 feet, you've got to get our approval.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I think you're hearing that we love what you have and we're disinclined towards something else, but you can certainly come back if you want to.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it. Thank you.
all right, you're so welcome. Have a good evening.
okay.
Okay, next up is James Frank modification, Suffolk County Tax Net number 300-196-1-2.2. That's been administratively withdrawn. And
Oh,
that,
that has?
yes, it has.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I know. Yes,
Administrative.
Do you want to ask if this previous applicant who was not?
I
here-
am, but I'm going
Oh,
to take Mr. Franklin first
All right.
because he's been waiting. Thanks, I appreciate the heads up on that, but so are you here for Markson and Freeman? What are you here for?
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
one.
Which one?
Markson and Friedman.
So what did he, oh, East Hampton
East
fence.
Hampton
Okay,
fence.
I
Mhm.
just called us. Okay. Well, we already, you can sit. We already did that part of the agenda. So I'm going to take this gentleman who's been waiting and then we'll hear you at the end. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So the next up is Ron Franklin, Suffolk County Tax Net number 300-200-3-40.1. Mr. Franklin is here. Hello, welcome. Congratulations on your new baby.
Thank you.
How's he doing?
It's good. He's 7.5 weeks. and
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah.
It's exciting and tiring, but
What?
it's very tiring.
Oh, listen, I have 3 kids. You don't have to tell me.
I don't even know.
Okay.
I feel like we've become old friends now. This is my
Yes.
6th time here.
Well, you know,
Next time.
It's like, I think you
Wow.
like me and that's why you want me back all the time.
that's it. That's it. We
6
just
times?
love
I
it.
count
Well,
4.
5, actually, I've only been here. He was here 5 and
I
then we had
count
our,
4 reviews. And where did we get 6?
this is
Well, I
the-
don't know.
this is the
Let's
fifth
just
one.
move on.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's several
Interesting.
And then
times.
you and Frank and I and.
Oh, well,
the
that
off-
time.
off-
Oh, well,
Okay.
that's, yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
different.
That's the
counting
6th,
that.
yeah.
Right. I did want to just mention, oh boy, did I misplace those letters?
I have them.
Before
right
we
here.
get
Right here.
started, thank you, that we did get some letters
This is better than-
from the public. Yeah, well, the letter was addressed to us, but that's part of the application. But we did get letters from members of the community that I think we should read into the record. They're fairly short, but I'll read these in before you start, if you don't mind. Anyway, it's Esperanza would go and then it would be your turn. So this was sent today at around noontime by Pamela Mahoney, who lives at, she's a Beach Lane resident. Dear ARB board members, each time I pass by the open lot at 65 Beach Lane, while always appreciating the view, have wondered what would eventually be constructed there. Now we have seen renderings of the proposed residence complete with pool and pool house. I feel strongly that the proposed residence, nearly 5,000 square feet, would totally overwhelm this 0.75 acre lot and would not be visually compatible with neighboring homes and iconic open farm vistas. It would be wonderful to see a reconsideration of the proposed plans to further reduce mass and scale and present a far more appropriate construction style to better blend with other homes, capes, ranches, and barns in close proximity to this lot. It can be accomplished. Sincerely, Pamela Mahoney. And then the next one is stated today as well. I don't have a time, but I came by email, I'm assuming, from,
2:00.
thank you, from Carol and Logan Gluck. Dear Chairperson Cunningham, members of the Architectural Review Board, as a resident of Waynescott, I'm writing in regard to the proposal to construct a residential compound at 65 Beach Lane. Even though this project has already been reviewed multiple times by the ARB, I hope you will consider these comments. While the applicant clearly has heard the recommendations offered by members of the ARB and made adjustments to the proposed residence as a result, its response regarding mass and scale has been wholly inadequate. Reduction of the height of the roof line and the width of the main residence are insufficient in achieving any lessening of the imposing sense of presence this residence would introduce to the street. In addition, consolidation of a pool house from two 100 square foot pavilions into one 200 square foot structure does nothing to reduce the footprint. I acknowledge it is late in the game to be offering these comments. Nevertheless, I worry that approval of this project will set a precedent for future construction along Beach Lane, one of the most treasured roads in Waynescott, which leading from Main Street to the beach is lined for the most part with charming cottages. I also hope this comment may be one small step in helping to avert further out of scale and out of character construction along the perimeters of the farm fields throughout this historic village. What is permissible, quote, as of right, unquote, is not always, quote, right, unquote, for a community. Maybe the ARB will use its considerable powers to encourage the applicant to reconsider its proposal with these observations in mind. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Carolyn Logan Gluck. Then the third letter is from Stephen Schrabeman, and that was written at 3:19 p.m. Written to Julie, dear Miss Akala, I am a resident of East Hampton and Beach Lane is the primary beach my family uses. I've been following closely the ARB's meetings regarding the intended development of 65 Beach Lane. I believe the ARB's recommendations now reflected in the current plan have resulted in a house that will fit very well within the community. I appreciate the modern barn-like elements that complement the abutting farmland, although different than the White House at the top of the street that also incorporates modern and traditional elements. I believe the 65 Beach Lane structure to be a lovely addition to this street. Best regards, Stephen Schraben. That's S-C-H-R-A-I-B-M-A-N. Okay, thank you for that. And then, of course, we have your letter that you sent to us, and we appreciate your point of view. And I'm just going to now let Esperanza do her review, and then we'll hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you. And my congratulations to you and your family also. You know, I've poured over the plans from your first submission, which was we reviewed in December of 23rd of December, my father's birthday, 2021. And then subsequently 12th of May, 15th of September, and then 8th of December. To your letter's point, and I believe I brought this up in the December meeting. You mentioned, and you're replying to the questions raised in that meeting, that the house width is now reduced 2.5 feet short of the required setbacks. Unless I'm looking at the wrong plans, I don't see 2.5 feet. Not that I think that's a substantial reduction, but I only see 1 foot. So that was one question, because what I have from your original submission regarding the side yard setbacks, in November, the north side was 30.5 and the required is 30 feet. And the south side was 30.8. And then in your September submission, I have north side 30.4 and then the south side 31.7. So I'm not quite sure where the 2.5 feet come in.
That's 1.7 and
The one big topic that we spoke about.
If you're going to speak.
Brian Glasser, architect. I just want to mention the connecting glass piece between the two structures. I think we kind of ruled out, and I know it was a topic about making the house not feel as wide, by making the garage feel like more of a separate structure. So if we were to, let's just say we were to take out that glass connection and pull it right into the side of the house, I think the overall massing of the house would have felt bigger overall. So by reducing and taking out a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, I think everyone would still look at the house as for what it is. So we were trying to make a disconnection between the bulk of the house, which is about 65 feet wide, and then the garage, which would feel more of like a separate structure. So that was when we go back and forth with like inches and feet, I don't think if we said, oh, we'll take out another foot, I don't think you guys are gonna
Well,
look at
yeah,
it.
I mean, I guess, I think our chair in that, I think it was the December meeting, she said, these have been incremental changes. They really have been. I mean, we've gone from a GFA in 2021 of 4,947 square feet. That's what I took from your application, to in August, 4,949 square feet. So in fact, it went up. So I just look at all these numbers and I keep trying to figure out where the actual substantial change has taken place. And I know that you feel like you had at least, a quorum of approval, which we did not vote on this in any meeting in the past. But I voiced that concern consistently that the mass and scale of this proposal was inconsistent with what I thought was appropriate for this particular lot, which is surrounded by an agricultural reserve area and other structures that are not as substantial as this one. The other question or comment in your letter was that the actual width of the main house structure is only 65 feet. The original submission says 50 feet, 11 inches wide by 106 feet, 8 inches long. What is 65 feet?
What we're referring to is the main mass of the house, the main structure, the two-story part of
And
it.
by width, do you mean when you're looking at it from the
Yes,
street?
From the street. When you look at the house, I don't know if we have a picture of it.
Oh, just the main mass. You're not talking about.
I'm not talking about the
full-
garage or the annex. And so what I was trying to say is if we look at just the part that is of the two-story part, because the garage, and getting back to what Brian was saying, one of the reasons it's goes closer to the property lines or to the setbacks. And again, bear in mind, the setbacks are double the normal setbacks, right? The 30 feet instead of 15 is because we wanted to, and I think Frank had suggested this a while ago, to move the garage back and out. So it's separate from the main house. And that's one of the reasons it's wider, but it's a good reason it's wider because that whole annex part, which we also lowered the roof, allows for kind of more of a see-through vista.
But
So-
sorry to interrupt you, but I think you're missing my point. The point is that it was always this wide, really. I mean, it's wider now, but it was kind of just
Well,
wide.
no,
So
but we
it's
did
not
re-
changed in any way.
It has been reduced overall since the beginning.
Just for clarification, the 65 feet is gable to gable.
Correct.
And the gable to the right of the gable. I
Yes.
measured it on the elevations.
Okay.
65.
Yeah, that's what he explained. I understood that.
Went from from there to there. And overall, I understand what Esperanza is saying about the overall width. But if we were to if you go back to if we were to just take this house and pull it over and lose 7 or 8 feet, I think the volume of the overall house would appear bigger. But to your point, you would hear, oh, we came down 9 or 10 feet. But overall, looking at the aesthetic of it, it might look like one larger home together. So that would be my concern. And it would sound better on paper, like number wise, but aesthetically with the architecture, it might feel like a bigger, you're gonna see all this mass.
Mass.
So that was our.
I understand that.
Easily got rid of that because that's not really doing much anyway, but by pushing this structure back and trying to separate it, it feels like an accessory structure does.
So anyway, what I was saying when you talked about incremental, and I didn't disagree that there were incremental changes each time because we've had a lot of meetings, but as you know, because we've sat down, we've talked about it, and we've gone through a number of these of your comments and taken every one of them and to heart, and in fact incorporated in each case. And so when I say we've the material in total, substantial in total, they are, because it is less wide than it was, but it's definitely less high. It's 2 feet lower than the original design. But most importantly, it's set back much further. And I think, as I told you, I did go and measure the distance from the street. So it's 15 feet property line to street. We are now 78 feet back from the street. I mean, it's like half the lot. And I think that was, again, Frank suggested that. And I think that ended up being a good suggestion for a lot of reasons, not only because it reduces the kind of the size of the house from the street, but I think it also just, from our perspective, a little bit more privacy and a little bit more of a nicer front yard. But that was, to me, probably the biggest thing we did. And someone had suggested in one of the letters that we combined 2 100 square foot pool houses into one 200. That's not true. They were 2 200.
They were 198. Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So we actually did cut that part down.
Well,
But
I would argue that actually the footprint kind of remained the same, because you still have the pergola, which then ends up being, you went from 684 square feet total with the 2 pool houses and the 288 square foot pergola. You now have 651 square feet with one 200 square foot pool house and a 451 square foot pergola.
yeah, but pergola obviously different than pool house. But more importantly,
I agree. It's not an enclosed or walled structure, but it's still a structure and it's still a footprint and it's coverage. And then I wanted to ask you about that, because what I saw on the plans is that the height of the accessory structures was at 16 feet 3 inches. Is that referring to the pool house? Then this is for the original submission, because then the height in the later submissions is 17 feet 1 inch. So it actually goes up.
I don't know what.
So maybe Brian can address that.
Let Brian refer to that. But one thing I wanted to mention too, because this is important, square footage of the house is obviously a factor or an issue, but our building coverage and lot coverage are well within the allowed amounts. We're at around 80% on lot coverage. So we're many 1,000 square feet less, and building coverage is 86%. So we're not maxing out on any of the building or lot coverage, which I think is far more important than either square footage or some of the other numbers we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that you're missing the point about the agricultural overlay district, which otherwise we wouldn't have been having all these discussions for all this time. As of right, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes. But then there's this additional layer of review that we've been discussing, that for this particular lot, which is a very sensitive lot, you're surrounded on 2 sides by ag reserve, which the town has invested in for all of us. And you are a steward of that piece of land that you have purchased.
Yeah.
And you are now developing it, and you're saying that you're not going to the maximum allowed, but you're actually not going, not doing half of what's allowed.
But as Browns, I think it would be unfair for anybody to spend that kind of money on a lot and expect that they're going to put a 1-story, barn on there. And I think it's unfair for people that are writing these letters, who, first of all, to write them again the day of, like the last time, which I think is just disrespectful. If somebody had sent me a letter earlier, I could be happy to talk to them, or at least be able to be prepared to respond. And we weren't even the last time. I'd be happy to sit down with the 2 people that wrote the letters that are concerned and talk to them about what we could do, what kind of landscaping we can add, anything to make it better. Because, I've had my home in Main Scott for 20 years. I do care about this, the town, and I plan to retire in this home. I want this to be a beautiful home. I've said this all along, and we've had many meetings and many discussions, and even talked about, the removing an additional reverse gable, as I put into the letter. And you in particular said it looked cut off. So we went back to that original double gable. But everything we've done, we've tried. And I think, right, we've worked in good faith to try and get to a point where this is a beautiful home. I still believe, I strongly believe that it is a beautiful home that will be an addition, a beautiful addition. I think it's a beautiful lot that deserves a beautiful home. But I just feel like, it's easy for people to say, well, we'd rather no one build on that at all. Or if they do build
We're
something
not saying
really.
nobody build on that at all.
No, I know,
I'm
but
not
it's.
indicating that at all.
I-
Nobody's
No, but
even
the letter-
suggesting that. But no, and even the letter says, I wondered what is going to
No,
be
but the
built.
letter says it's
But-
full of
but,
cottages
may I
and
finish,
barns.
please?
It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
I think we need
May
to
I
address
finish,
that.
please?
context.
That letter is
Context
incorrect.
to me is, I agree with the letter. They're right across the street from you are 2 small cottages. Next door to you is another small 1-story. Yes, there have been houses built there that are larger, and we've discussed this. they are on larger lots and they're on the other side of the road. It's a whole different animal, in my opinion.
Well, but it's the
But
neighborhood and the street.
I
and-
have-
And I
I
almost,
have repeatedly asked, and I think, you know, you said you've made these changes to mass and scale that are visual changes, but to me, the visual, it still looks like a big house on a lot. It just does.
okay. And, but note that the ceiling heights are standard. We didn't do anything.
No,
to-
we
to those.
understand. I understand. I think maybe the best thing to do now is, Esperanza, if you would just continue. I know that she was, Vice Chair Leon was hoping to address some of the points in your letter, your email to us. So if you just want
We
to
went through most, you know, you brought
finish up
the
and then we'll,
front facing gables. You mentioned the generator and solar panels. I only brought that up because repeatedly we've had projects that have been approved and then end up having to come back. That was the only
Saw
reason.
the one with the big generator.
So, yeah,
We're not doing that.
it's a structure. So are the solar panels. You know, the last thing in your paragraph that I would address is you say the current design is smaller, cleaner, and more harmonious with the neighborhood than many houses nearby, and considerably smaller, cleaner, and more harmonious than our initial design. I would say it's not smaller.
You show this to her?
It's 2 feet shorter than it was originally. That's a
Feel
pretty
comfortable.
substantial difference.
Okay, okay.
But she's welcome to see it.
Well, I think we should pull the board
Yeah,
and
I
see
was
where
gonna
we
say,
are. This
I-
has gone on very, very long.
I would like to state for the record, I do have some thoughts about this and just to express that, you know, everyone that has on the board has their own opinions. I went down Beach Lane, I looked on satellite photos, and checked approximate distance from the streets. I don't think that this house is any further to the street than some recent developments. So I do think it is in keeping with context with that. I think the applicant has made, if we do want to talk about prior submissions, I think the applicant has made good efforts to reduce the mass and scale of how this house is visually perceived. I do think that architecturally this house is fairly harmonious with some other houses there on Beach Lane. And again, this is my professional opinion about it. And so I'm comfortable with approving what's here.
I'm comfortable approving it also.
I am too.
Then I think we need to go for a vote.
I think the chair decides.
I will decide that.
Okay.
Yep. And I just want to make sure that this is yours, I think, Chip. I found mine.
No, it's yours.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that if you feel that you've addressed all the points that you wanted to, I think then maybe we should bring it to a vote. I just want to remind the board as we make this vote that reading from the resolution, this is our charge. We've conducted a review of the architectural design and scale of the proposed construction and find the material, mass line, color detail, and placement of proposed construction will maintain harmony with the existing structures, setting, and physical environs, therefore by preserving the visual resources of the town's essential character. So, having said that, did you have anything else, Esperanza?
I had sent pictures.
Can I add one thing I would promise?
I think you might, if you want to.
I was just going to say, I promise you, if you approve this, I will listen to anybody who wants to talk in the neighborhood. I'll talk to you more.
It's not a quid pro quo. We can't.
No, I'm just saying.
Yes, I understand, but you're saying if you approve it, I'll talk to people, you know, that's
Or even if you
not
don't,
a-
I'm just saying I'm happy to talk
Right,
to
it
people.
sounds like a quid pro quo, so we can't do that. Anyway, if you would just conclude, I think. we need
Yeah,
to
I
vote
mean,
on
I would
this.
just say, you know, ultimately, building coverage went from 5,370 square feet to 5,197 square feet. I don't see where anything substantially has changed. I don't think it is a sensitive build for this particular lot. You know, I guess I have not been forceful with my comments. I'm being forceful now, maybe too late in the game, clearly, but that's my opinion.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Franklin, for your efforts, and Mr. Glasser. I know this has been a long process, and not to say this, but actually 14 months isn't bad for this board. You kind of got away easy.
Yes, and
So-
I'll just remind you
Yeah.
that the first time we reviewed it was an incomplete
Yeah, I get it.
submission, and you didn't
I
come
get it.
back to us until May.
Yeah,
So
okay, all right. Well, we don't have to drive that nail in the coffin. Let's,
clarifying.
yes, I understand. Let's make a motion with some, would you make a motion, Moni? Or would you rather
I
someone else?
make a motion to vote on this application.
Okay, may I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
I oppose. Okay, well, go in peace and enjoy your baby.
You guys have to approve it. You've made a motion to vote.
Yeah, as it said, as submitted. Yeah.
Didn't we? Oh, I'm sorry, because she said we vote on it. Right. Okay, so this, so what do I have to do? Say,
Make a motion to
Make-
vote on
How do we do
approving
this?
this submission.
yeah, you should just say, I move to approve this submission, and then you can vote against your motion. All right, let's just do it again. Would
Right.
you restate it, please?
I make a motion to approve this application as recently submitted.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oppose.
Okay. All right, now go back to your baby. And your lovely wife, I'm sure.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank you very
much.
much. Good luck to you.
For all your help too.
Okay.
Seriously. So thank you.
Now, we're on to resolution, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300. There's a typo here. Let's see. It's
Oh, yeah, What
3001.
about this man?
Oh, I beg your pardon. I forgot. Okay, sorry.
Hampton fence.
Yes, East Hampton Fence, Mr. Scott
Saddle
Freeman and Johanna Markson, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-73-4-12. Hi, how are you?
Good.
This is me. I forgot about that. Where on earth is this? This is, oh, Eric is gone.
I think he just stepped out momentarily.
Okay, I just have to find.
He's curious.
It's coming. It's
Saddle Lane, okay. All right, attached again. So this was an application that we saw, I think back in July, and then when I was away, you all looked at this, so it kind of switched between me and Esperanza. But it was for a gate over in on Saddle Lane, and the some of the pictures there. We asked them to have a new survey drawn because there was, I don't know if you remember, it was that whole mishigas about the 20 feet, let the gate be 20 feet from the edge of pavement and a turn, but they didn't have it properly marked. So they had the survey redone, which they've done. There are two gates, one at the north end and one at the south end of the property, and both have the proper clearance for the emergency service vehicles. And they have offered to eliminate the masonry gates, the masonry pillars, which are these stone
Oh, yeah.
pillars
Yep, yep,
there. You might remember this, and it had these like
Yep.
this weird looking gate. And the new gate is a good design to my mind. And I think it's, do you have, Eric, you're so intuitive. I'm just so grateful for you, really. It's like I'm thinking it and you do it. Although yeah, there we go. So, and I think that the transparency is good. There's a thinner rail and a thicker rail, and that looks great. But the problem I'm having with this is that there are vertical boards for the back of the gate that there have just been like penciled in. So we don't know what those dimensions are or what it's made of.
Oh, they may consider, and the dimension that's only like, have the measurements here. Measurements is like 4.5 by 1 inch thick. So that's the,
4.5 wide.
No, the 4.5, no, that's like inch thick by 4.5 inch wide.
Right, so it'll go, it'll go on the flat, so that would be 4 inches of,
He needs to mark it.
yeah, well, that's.
Let you have a space into,
Right, so you see the picture I'm talking about,
The one
right?
that's up
See this
there.
handwritten stuff. Everything else was great with part of the CAD drawing. You just need to resubmit with that dimension depicted on this, because we can't tell what it looks like with just this ink line. Do you know what I mean?
right.
And put the dimensions on it so we know.
You have
Because
the-
I'm assuming it would be on both sides of the gate, right?
Yeah.
And all 4 gates, because you're
That's 4
doing
gates.
2 gates, right? So we would need that dimension and that illustration, so we would know what it looks like. I mean, I'm very favorably disposed to this. I think it looks much better than the original gate. It's going to be, I think, clear cedar. Is that correct? Am I remembering
Yes, you just said that.
correctly? Clear cedar, yeah, and 50% opacity, left unpainted to weather naturally, which is what we suggested to them, I
So I'm
think.
sorry, what is, because I can't see that and I can't see
Oh.
this. What is the
Mid-
what do you call it? The space, so this is the spacing, these darker ones? The 4.5 inch ones are the darker ones?
Yeah. There's a thin
Ah,
one and a
okay.
thick one, and then a thin one and a thick one.
I'm not, it's
what's
not
open and what-
yeah, what's open and
What's
not.
open
It's
and
making me
what's-
dizzy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it
The
better.
opening or the
I have it
rectangles?
better.
The
Let's see your
rectangles
plan.
or the openings?
Let's see your plan.
Isn't it the same thing?
You know,
It's the
but,
same thing.
oh, no, he's actually
Oh, I
shaded.
see.
That's a better thing.
This
Okay,
is
so
better.
this is the one
It's
that you
the
need.
rectangles
yeah.
are the,
Okay, so
the
the shade-
purpley
yeah,
looking,
okay,
yeah,
those are
right.
the openings.
that's the transparency,
Got it.
right, right.
Okay, and then,
So
so
if-
might be easier.
So how are you keeping the 1 1/4 from drooping?
I think that's why they have the
That's the
vertical, but they
braces.
haven't depicted
Oh,
the
you got the
vertical.
braces in there, okay.
Well,
I
they see, they
Here, on
put
this.
that as an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not in there. You're,
So this is what you have to tell us about, what these lines are. We need to know the dimensions of this. But you have
right,
to
but you
submit
have
it.
to draw it. We have to have the drawing
So
for
that we
for
can
the file and for the record. So when we go back and look at it, we remember what we approved. Okay?
Okay.
I mean, I think everything else I don't know if the board
I
has
agree.
any other recommendations, but to my mind, the design of the gate is sufficient. The materials are good and the pillar, pillars are okay.
Clear cedar, no paint.
Yes, left to weather, and it fits them, this is exactly what we asked them to do. Next time they came in, I was away, and you
They
all.
have a pedestrian gate in the back that has a similar design or something? Yes.
Mhm. Okay, well, that's good. But we can't approve it tonight because we need that drawing, but it's, yes,
Yes.
yes, but then it should be fine. Okay, all right, great, thank you very much. That was easy, like the easy ones. Okay, then, so now everybody get a chance to sign this resolution. We're going to, Nooney, you have to sign this as a, oh, you don't sign it if you're opposed? It says opposed.
Correct.
So you don't sign even though you're opposed?
I've never signed an application that I,
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I signed it. It's new to me. You just have to sign anything on the planning board. Okay, Suffolk County, resolution that some of us are signing, 100, oh my gosh, 170 Sayers Path, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-197-6-21.1. Did I read it correctly?
Mhm.
Okay, because it says 3001 and I wasn't sure where that one belonged. Okay, so that's been approved and we are done.
What about the other 2 resolutions?
those were,
They've been pulled because they were missing information we needed. Yeah, we'll deal with that next meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your hard work and your good reporting. And I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
second.
All right. Good night, everyone.